Let it be a Nick and Jane, and let it be a Mr. Smith, a banker of Nick and Jane. They both keep their money in his bank. That's why we use the title Mr. Smith with respect. Nick really wants to buy, well, let's say Jane's bicycle, but he has no money. More precisely, he has money, but not enough, only $10, while Jane wants $100 for her precious bicycle. That's a problem. What should Nick do? Well, this bicycle is so desirable. He gives Jane his $10 as a deposit and asks plaintively not to sell the bike to anyone. He says that he will bring the rest of the money soon. At the same time, he runs to his bank, to the respected Mr. Smith, to get a loan for the missing $90. As ill luck, Mr. Smith has no money at this moment, but he knows perfectly about $10, which Nick gave to Jane. And where will Jane bring his money to? That's right. She will put these $10 in her lovely bank to the same Mr. Smith. Therefore, Mr. Smith asks Nick to come back tomorrow in the hope that tomorrow he will get these $10. And everything happens this way. The next day, Jane brings $10 to the bank. The bank provides Nick these $10 on credit. Nick immediately gives them to Jane. She again puts them in a bank. The bank again provides Nick these $10 on credit, etc. As long as Nick the fool will gather enough money for the bicycle. Don't you get confused yet? Be patient, I told you. These demons have been trying to confuse you during 1,000 years. These damn economists and financiers. But anyway, we will figure everything out. So what do we have in the end? Nick finally got the bike from Jane. Wow! But at the same time, Nick owes $90 to the bank, Mr. Smith. And the bank, in its turn, owes $100 to Jane. In other words, those $10, which existed initially, have magically turned into $200, $190 of debts plus real $10. But these $10 would also turn into $1,000, even in $1 million or $1 billion, if Nick would make a more expensive purchase. In this case, our $10 would make the increasing number of its cycles, circuits from hands to hands. That's it. So, what happens in today's world? SOS! It appears that banks also make money out of thin air and multiply them. Not only Fed can produce money, but banks either. In short, everybody can do this, except you and me. We are not in the business at this celebration of life. I would like to print or draw some money as well. In fact, these banks multiply money without any control. And we're still wondering why the banker lives better. What are naive fools are we? Now it is clear why. The one who produces the money, of course, lives better. But this is not enough. From this moment, poor Nick will never be able to repay his debts owed to the bank, no matter how hard he would work. Silly Nick doesn't know it yet, that he's in slavery to the bank, in credit bondage forever, because those $90 which he owes to Mr. Smith do not exist in nature at all. Sly Mr. Smith made his money out of nothing. He created them out of thin air, just one click. And $10 turned into $200. Yes, but you can object reasonably that the bank itself owes $100 to Jane, and it turns out that bank is in credit bondage to Jane, and it won't be able to repay its debts owed to Jane either. So where's the bank's profit? What's the trick? Ha! You ask what the trick is. The trick is in the fact that bank has a lot of such Janes, thousands and millions, and they will never come for their money all at once. If one Jane comes, the bank will return her the money of 10 other depositors. That's it. It means that the bank's debt is dangerous and not burdensome. In fact, bank's debt is virtual. It exists only on the paper or in the computer program. It will never be repaid in reality, only in case a panic hit happens. When frightened depositors suddenly will come for their money all at once. Or maybe, do you know any other reason why banks go bankrupt from time to time? Here's why. Because there are not enough money for all depositors. There is 90% of thin air in the bank vaults. Just a lilac fog. Thus, bank is okay. It blooms and smells. We don't need to worry about it. But our Nick has serious problems now. He has to repay all the debts owed to the bank, completely, with interest and penalties. You know this. He will be forced to take a new credit in order to repay the old one. Then again, the new loan, and again, endlessly, until his death. There is no way out of this credit running knot. It does not exist in principle. That's it. Trap slam. Now Nick is perpetual debtor of bank. He is a slave. From now on, he will work for bank until he dies. But he still won't repay his debts. After his death, his children and grandchildren will work for this bank. They all are future slaves of the bank. More precisely, they are slaves of this monstrous and cannibalistic global financial system, which spawned this ruthless and inhumane mechanism which must be destroyed finally.
Save some of our money as Mavro by helping somebody in the MMM community. And your money should grow 1% per day and up to 30%. For instance, after you have voluntarily enrolled in the MMM system, you can provide $100 of financial help to somebody else. You will receive 100 Mavro, and 1 Mavro will add to your balance daily, up to 30 Mavro. That's a total of 130 Mavro after 30 days. The time comes when you need to use the money. You can request for help in the MMM community, and you shall exchange your 130 Mavro to $130 of cash. Are you kidding me? Normal people save their money in institutions like banks, insurance companies, pension funds. The truth is, the owners of this institution always spend the money somewhere else. When time comes, the money is given back to you because someone else is not in use of the money, so you can have it at that particular moment. MMM uses the same concept, except there's no owners who will use your money. It is a mutual aid fund. Money are exchanged among the participants. Someone today and someone else will help you tomorrow. Everyone is joining MMM community. MMM is bringing the world together. MMM has changed many people's lives, set them free from a bank slave. When there's a moment in life that you have to go through financial pain, MMM will be there to give you a little help and get you through. We help each other in the MMM community, and together we change the world. MMM, a better system to live with.